Okay, hello everybody watching. Today we have a special treat. Instead of interviewing one duck, I get to interview a duck and a tiger. We have a sister squad that were in the 34th for a very short amount of time before we unfortunately lost one of them to the 7th IS. But I have with me Avery and Gia Dwyer. Ladies, why don't you introduce yourself?
You go first.
No, you go first.
All right. I'm Senior Airman Avery Dwyer, currently in the 34th. Are we allowed to say what we do?
Yeah, you can say what you do.
Okay. Chinese linguist. I have orders to Hawaii, so I'm not sure how much longer I'll be here. But yeah, go Ducks.
Go Ducks.
Hi, I'm Gia Dwyer. I'm also a Chinese linguist, and what was previously said, I did get PCA to the 7th IS just recently. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for joining me. I appreciate it. And I know there are plenty of ducks looking forward to hearing from both of you. And then, like I said, Gia, your first sergeant, was looking forward to watching too. So Chad, if you're watching, hello, and drink all the beer that you have on hand. So let's get started. Who would you most like to sit next to on a 10-hour flight and why?
You go first. Ooh, it's a good one. Probably, I know this sounds like stereotypical, but probably Avery, because I know she'd just sleep the whole time and leave me alone, so I wouldn't have to make small talk with the person next to me.
What do you think, Avery?
I don't know, is that a compliment or is that insulting me? I have mixed feelings.
She's saying that you're a great, yeah, it's a compliment. You're a great travel buddy.
All right, I'll take it.
So are you picking her?
For me, do I go like big or like small? If we're going like celebrities, maybe maybe Brandon Sanderson. He's an author of a lot of book series I like.
You could take the 10 hours to talk to him about his writing.
Yeah, because like I like a lot of his stuff. He has a lot of his books. They're like separate series, but they're all linked together in like kind of like a multiverse, but in book form. So I think that'd be kind of interesting to talk to him about like, oh, how did you come up with that? How do you balance it? And he has some really interesting magic systems. Like one of them is math based, which I would suck at because I suck at math, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I suck at math too. But a math-based magic system sounds interesting. My magic knowledge is basically limited to Harry Potter. So, and that's not math-based, but I think that sounds interesting for sure. Because like you, I'm not good at math. I think people that are magical.
Yeah, definitely magical.
What's the weirdest tradition your family has?
Do we have any traditions?
I guess it would be not having any traditions because we're really not into all that stuff.
Maybe having a bunch of cats all the time.
I saw one on your bed.
Yeah.
How many do you guys have?
I think our record is 4 at a time. And then like overall, I think there's been 6. So currently my mother has 2 right now. And one of them's like really old, like death's door old. So she's getting a kitten. So she's going to have another one.
You got to get the cat replacement.
Yeah.
It's good thinking ahead.
Yeah. So then I have one. Gia, I think, and her roommate are getting one for them. And then my roommate has one.
Oh,
So
all the cats.
Yes, we're a cat family.
I don't think that's a weird tradition. Not having traditions is probably a weird tradition, but I think my family's kind of like that too. And my sister had tons of cats growing up. I'm not a cat person myself. We have dogs, or we have a dog. So another animal question: what is your spirit animal and why?
Can I say cat?
You can say whatever. You can absolutely say cat, but then you got to tell me why.
Because I would love to be able to. Come here, cat. Speaking of,
Oh,
I would love to be able to sleep all day, be waited on for my every need, and just cooed over.
That's a cat's life for sure.
And have a cute face.
Aww.
Although she's not very happy right now.
How about you, Gia? What's your spirit animal and why?
Can I also say cat?
You can say whatever you
piggybacking
want.
off of her too much. I don't
No,
know.
you're good. For the same reasons?
Yeah, just to relax all day and just, chill, I guess.
Cats have it made.
Yeah, they really do.
I think the reason I'm not a cat person is because they're smarter than me. And like they don't need me. Like cats are independent. Like they don't need you. And I like the dog because he needs us. Although he's really annoying. So I avoid him most of the time.
The roommates have a puppy. He's the giant schnauzer, so he's not small, but he is a puppy. And it's like literal child.
It is, yeah.
It's interesting.
We have a 9-month Boston Terrier puppy, and he is little, but he's stubborn and yeah, literal child. He's like, it's like having a kid all over again, and one that is just smart enough to annoy the crap out of me. So I get him up in the morning, I take him out, and then I don't talk to him the rest of the day. Then he's my kid's dog after that. We've agreed to stay in the same house together, but yeah, I think that cats are just too good for me. Is why I can't have them around. They're smart. They're just like in their own world, and you're just there helping them exist. And like you said, waiting on them while they just do whatever they want, which is a good personality. Like that's how I like to act, but I don't want one of those around. What's the best thing that you got from your parents? It doesn't have to be a tangible thing. It can be anything.
If we're going intangible, I think a good, I don't know, a good moral foundation. I know it's kind of like a little bit, yeah, I'll say that because I think growing up, I'll see on Twitter where they'll have like a list of click or put a finger up for all these things you did in high school, and it's like alcohol, drugs, get arrested by the police, blah 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 blah, all these things. And on almost all of any variation of that, I'm like 0.
You're a good kid.
I'm like, and like I know it's like I guess boring to some people, but I'm like, it makes life much easier, honestly.
It does, and I thank your parents for that because it also then makes my life much easier. Because if you come in with a good, solid moral foundation, then there's not a whole lot of input needed from a first sergeant. So thank you to the Dwyer parents because it's definitely something we appreciate. How about you, Gia? Oh, you're muted.
I'd have to say it would be being able to persevere through hardship. It's kind of like what everyone learns from their parents when you see them and how they react to a situation, and just learning how to roll with the punches and keep going, I guess.
Oh, I like that. That is a good one. I hope now you're making me think about me as a parent, and I'm hoping that I'm doing that for my kids. Yeah, perseverance and a good moral compass. I thank your parents because it's definitely helpful, both in life and in the Air Force. All right, one more question, and then I'll turn it over to you guys. What is something that you never want to do again?
Ooh. That's hard. I think okay, so on a much kind of smaller scale, I was a decent student in high school, you know, like not straight A's, but I was like I was like good enough. And so I never failed a test before. Um, and then even at DLI, I never failed a test. There were a couple close calls, but I never technically failed on paper. Then I got to Goodfellow, and Goodfellow's Goodfellow, but that was the first time I think, at least in my like cognizant memory, that I had failed a test, and there were actual consequences for failing, and I was just sitting in my room at Goodfellow, just like, what? This is like so unfamiliar. That I don't know. That was awful. And then my mom was texting me during that time, like, cause I like, you know, intend to take rap, intend to take leave after Goodfellow, and I'm like, oh, well, if I fail this test, then well, all my plans are gonna be screwed. And my mom's texting me like, I'm so excited to see you.
Aw.
Like, it's gonna be soon. And I'm like, ah ha ha. Well,
Well, about
hold
that.
hold that thought. Put a pin in that. Let me like talk to me tomorrow after this retest, and we'll see how that's gonna go. But I don't know. Like, it's not so much failure, but it's more like I wanting to make sure I'm like always prepared for at least things that I can control. Because like with that kind of thing, like I could have studied more. I probably could have invested a little more time into it. Um, so that was just like a moment of like, I don't want to be here. This
Yeah.
feels awful.
Yeah, I can relate to that for sure. You passed your retest?
Yes, and even though we all felt that the retest was harder than the actual test, like because actually surprisingly enough, like our teacher was surprised on that specific test that like 4 of us failed, and I think most of us by like a pretty close margin, so it wasn't like an absolute failure, but it was like we missed like one question. So she's like, you guys got this, and then we went into the retest and we're like, we don't got this, that was awful. And she's like, no, you guys got this, and we're like, no, that was like 10 times worse than the first one that we failed. And then we all passed like well, and we're just like, we don't know how that worked. Like our
Well,
brains, I guess, clicked just for that like one moment.
you got everything you needed. You prepared properly. You passed the harder retest, and you took leave and took rap on time, right? So mom was happy.
Yes, mother was happy.
Awesome. What about you, Gia? What's something that you will never do again or you never want to do again?
Um, I'd have to say probably the last week in basic during Airman's Week. They told us as like a resiliency test that we were going to have to stay an extra like 5 months because of something had come up. And I fell for that so hard. I thought they were serious and I was freaking out in my mind. Like, I'm going to have to be here in Texas at basic for like another 5 months while they try to figure this out. And that just freaked me out. So yeah, just like that initial feeling of just thinking I was gonna stay there longer, I guess.
Oh,
They
that
did that
freaks
to
me
us.
out.
They did that to us too. A girl in my flight started crying.
Did you fall for it, Avery?
Um, I'll be honest, I was kind of selfish about it. Well, or the way they presented it to us gave me an out where they're like, "Oh, because when I went to basic, it was like New Year, so like we got to our tech school on like January 2nd. So they're like, "Oh, it's the new year. The bus system we usually use to get you all to your next bases is like too booked or whatever. So y'all can't go to your tech schools." And all of us were like, "What?" So I was like, or and then another girl and then me were like, "Well, what about planes?" Because we had to fly to ours, and I think I think it almost broke the scenario a little bit because I don't think they were exactly expecting that question, but they're like, we'll figure you out. So like at least I had like the glimmer of hope. But like yeah, like one of the girls next to me like had to go to the bathroom to cry because she took it really seriously. And then all the guys they didn't like cry, but they were sitting there like dead, like dead eyes, just like
Yeah, it's like
oh.
you're trapped. What are you gonna do? Don't worry, Gia. I've never experienced someone having to go back to basic training, so you will never have to deal with that type of scenario again, hopefully. And you've learned not to trust a TI if they're threatening you with something that sounds absolutely ridiculous. Awesome. Well, thank you both for your time. I'm going to give you each some time to share any parting thoughts with the squadron, or my mom's watching. So if you got anything to say to anyone in the squadron, outside of the squadron, or Gia, your first sergeant, now's the time.
Okay. Go 34th. I've really liked my time here. I wish I were staying longer. I like our duck calls because at all like the commander's call or whatever, I think it's really funny when we just, drown out everyone else. Let's go. Um, Shout out to my roommate, Maggie Partial. She works in the CSS, sorry. I can't do acronyms. She works really hard and she's really good at her job. And whenever I have a question where I'm like, I need to turn in X paperwork at X place. How do I do this? I just go to her and be like, Maggie, help.
Awesome. She is super awesome. She's a great duck. Gia, your turn.
Just really excited to be here finally and get to be with my sister and kind of walk the same path with her as we're kind of going through the same steps in life together, I guess. That's exciting. And shout out to our mom, because I know she's going to watch this afterwards and probably like share it with everyone she knows. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wonderful. I appreciate it. So I'm going to shout out to your mom too. Thank you for trusting the Air Force, the 34th and the 7th IS with your precious daughters. We appreciate it. And I promise we'll take great care of them. And thank you for raising them right, because that means that they're going to be successful in anything that they want to do. So thanks, Mom, both my mom and your mom, for raising awesome daughters. And that's it. So thank you again, and I hope you guys have a great day.